The moment an avoidant pulls away, your brain wants to do the exact thing that makes them pull away harder. You want to talk. You want clarity. You want reassurance. You want to fix it before it becomes a loss. But with an avoidant, that panic move is not love. It is pressure. And pressure is the trigger. So in this episode, I am going to give you the clean replacement behavior, what to do instead of chasing, instead of over-explaining, instead of trying to win them back with intensity, so you can increase the odds of a real return without losing your dignity or your position. First, let's name the pattern accurately. When an avoidant pulls away, it usually is not a decision that you are worthless. It is a nervous system reflex that says closeness equals obligation. Obligation equals loss of control. Loss of control equals danger. That is why you can have a great moment, a deep conversation, intimacy, laughter, a feeling of connection, and then the next day, they go quiet. In their system, closeness creates a bill. The bill is not money, it is expectation. They start imagining what you will want next: more time, more certainty, more emotional responsibility, more consistency. And their body reacts before their logic does. They call it needing space. They call it being busy. They call it not wanting drama. But what is happening underneath is this simple fear response. If I stay close, I will be required to perform closeness on demand, and I will fail. And then, I will be judged. So they create distance to feel safe again. Now, here is the part you need to hear if you want them back. The pulling away is not the end of the story. It is the test point. And the test is not whether you love them enough. The test is whether you can stop feeding the cycle that trained them to stay avoidant in the first place. Most people fail this test because they respond to distance with pursuit. They send the long text. They ask what is wrong. They ask if everything is okay. They try to get a verdict. They push for a conversation right now. And that pursuit does three things at once. 1, it confirms the avoidant fear that closeness equals pressure. 2, it makes them feel responsible for your emotional state. 3, it turns the relationship into a performance trial where they must manage you. And the moment an avoidant feels they must manage you, they run. So what do you do instead? You replace pursuit with precision. You replace emotional flooding with calm structure. You replace the need to be chosen right now with the ability to hold your position. And the core move is this. When they pull away, you do not chase the gap. You define the standard and remove access to chaos. That is the move. Not punishment, not games, not manipulation. A clean standard and a clean absence from instability. Here is how it looks in real life. Step 1 is immediate containment. The first 24 hours after you feel the pull away are the most dangerous because this is when your nervous system starts bargaining. You start scanning their tone. You start rereading. You start checking. You start thinking, if I just say the right thing, they will come back. This is where you ruin your leverage, because when you act from panic, you teach an avoidant that distance gives them power. So your first rule is simple. Do not act at the peak. If you feel urgency, that is the signal to pause. Not because you are playing hard to get, but because urgency makes you sloppy. And sloppy is what creates the exact pressure that makes them disappear longer. Step 2 is the one clean message, only if needed. This is where most people either overtext or go completely silent in a way that looks like a tantrum. You want neither. You want one clean signal that does two things. It lowers pressure and it raises standards. Lower pressure means you are not demanding closeness right now. Raise standards means you are not available for inconsistency. So, a clean message is short, calm, and self-led. It sounds like this in spirit. No accusation, no pleading, no trial. Just a calm acknowledgement and a boundary. Something like, I can feel you pulled back. No pressure to talk right now. I am around when you want to reconnect, and I am not available for half in, half out. That is it. One message. Then, you stop. If you already sent something emotional, you do not stack another message to correct it. You do not chase your own chase. You stop. Because the most magnetic thing you can do after a mistake is stabilize. Step 3 is the part people misunderstand. You go quiet cleanly. Clean silence is not punishment. Clean silence is removing anxious access. It means you stop initiating, you stop checking, you stop hovering, you stop feeding the attachment loop with attention. And yes, this is where the avoidant starts to feel the shift, but not in the way you fantasize. They do not instantly miss you like a movie. First, they feel relief. Relief is not proof they do not care. Relief is proof that pressure was present, and when pressure leaves, their body exhales. This is why the first days of no contact often look like nothing. They are decompressing. They are telling themselves they are fine. They are trying to get back to control. If you panic during this relief window, you reset the clock and confirm the cycle. So you stay steady. And steady is not cold. Steady is calm energy with standards. Now, let's get tactical about the thing that actually creates the return. Avoidants come back when two conditions happen at the same time. 1, they feel safe from pressure. 2, they feel a real consequence to distance. If you only do safety, they relax into avoidance, and you become the comfortable option they do not have to show up for. If you only do consequence, they feel punished and controlled, and they run. You need both. This is what calm and firm means. Calm lowers pressure. Firm raises the cost of inconsistency. Calm is your tone. Firm is your behavior. Calm says, I am not trying to trap you. Firm says, I am not willing to be trapped either. So when they pull away, your job is not to convince them to stay. Your job is to hold a climate where staying is earned and distance is not rewarded. Here's the biggest mistake people make. They go silent, but they keep the door open emotionally. They think about them all day. They check their status. They watch stories fast. They rehearse what they will say when they come back. That is still participation. That is still access. And avoidant systems can feel that. They may not name it like that, but they sense you are still available, still hooked, still waiting. So nothing shifts. Clean silence means the loop is broken at the attention level, not just the texting level. You stop feeding the signal economy. Words without behavior do not count. Mixed signals do not count. Warmth without consistency does not count. You observe the pattern and you respond to the pattern, not the promise. Now let's talk about what they secretly do after they pull away, so you stop getting played by your own imagination. Phase 1 is relief. Phase 2 is curiosity. This is where they start noticing your absence behaviorally. They notice you are not reaching. They notice you are not reacting. They notice the emotional atmosphere changed. They do not always reach out. They often watch. They check your profile. They hover over typing and delete it. They replay the last conversation Not to find your logic, but to find clues. Did I push too far? Did I misread them? Are they upset? Are they gone? Are they seeing someone else? Now, do not ruin this phase by posting performance content or fishing for their attention. The goal is not to poke them. The goal is to let the absence do its job. And the job of absence is to remove pressure while introducing consequence. If they have feelings and capacity, this phase becomes reflection. If they do not have capacity, this phase becomes comfort and they stay gone. Either way, you win by staying steady because you stop donating your nervous system to uncertainty. Now, when they finally test the door, this is where you either get them back for real or you reset the same cycle again. Testing can look like a breadcrumb, a meme, a casual question, a like, a random hey, a delayed response that pretends nothing happened. It is often not cruelty. It is a low-risk probe. They want to see if access is still free. And your response matters more than your silence did. Because the moment they test, your nervous system wants to collapse into relief. Most people respond fast, warm, over-available, and they teach the avoidant a deadly lesson. I can leave, I can come back, and I will be rewarded for returning without changing. If you want them back, you cannot reward the return. Reward the staying. Reward the consistency. Reward the repair. So what do? You respond, but you respond slowly and cleanly. You keep it short. You do not start a relationship monologue. You do not punish. You do not pretend you did not care. You simply set the frame. You can be warm without being easy. You can be kind without collapsing. In spirit, it looks like this. Good to hear from you. I am open to reconnecting. I am only interested in something consistent. If that is not where you are, I understand. Notice what that does. It offers safety, no humiliation, no control. But it also introduces consequence. Inconsistency does not get full access. Now, a lot of people get scared here because they think, if I do not welcome them with fireworks, they will leave. And yes, some avoidance will leave if you require consistency. But that is not a loss. That is clarity. Because the only return that matters is the return that becomes real, the return that lasts, the return that includes repair. And repair is the part that separates a real bond from a loop. Repair means they acknowledge the distance pattern, they take responsibility without defensiveness, and they change behavior over time. Not one apology, not one emotional night. Pattern change. So you want to design your behavior to test for repair. You do that by not flooding them, not chasing them, and not accepting a return that offers you the same instability wrapped in a sweet tone. Now let's make this more face-grabbing, because I know you are tired of advice that sounds like, just heal and move on. You are here because you want the return. So let me tell you the truth. An avoidant is more likely to return when they experience you as stable and unavailable to chaos at the same time. Stable means you are not volatile, you do not explode, you do not play games, you do not threaten. Unavailable to chaos means you do not reward inconsistency, you do not keep access open when they withdraw, and you do not accept crumbs as connection. That combination is rare. Most people become needy or cold. Needy triggers their fear. Cold triggers their pride and their shutdown. Calm and firm triggers respect. And respect is the emotion avoidance can tolerate without panic. Love can feel dangerous to them. Respect feels safe. Respect feels clean. Respect feels like autonomy. So your mission when they pull away is not to make them feel guilty. It is to make them feel the cost and the safety of coming closer. Cost means access is earned. Safety means closeness is not a trap. Now, let's talk about why the long emotional text ruins your leverage more than any other move. That text feels honest. It feels mature. It feels like you are communicating. But in an avoidant system, long emotional texts often translate as expectation. They hear, "I need you to carry this. I need you to respond right. I need you to validate my reality. I need you to give me certainty." And then their body reacts with shutdown. They might respond with logic, coldness, anger, or silence, not because you are wrong, but because they cannot tolerate the emotional weight. So, if you want a real return, you keep your emotional depth for the moment they have earned it through consistency. You do not hand them your heart when they have not shown they can hold it. You stay warm, but you stay structured. You make your communication short, clean, and behavior-based. Here is another truth that will make you smarter. If an avoidant pulls away, there are two separate problems. One is their capacity. Two is your response. You cannot control their capacity. You can control your response. And your response can either amplify their avoidance or lower it. Chasing amplifies it. Clean silence lowers it. Punishing amplifies it. Calm and firm lowers it. Over-explaining amplifies it. Precision lowers it. Now, some of you are thinking, what if they never come back? Here is the truth that protects you. If your calm standard makes them disappear permanently, then chasing would not have turned them into a healthy partner. It would have only turned you into someone who pays for love with anxiety. And that is not a strategy. That is self-abandonment. The goal here is not to manipulate them into a return. The goal is to create the only climate where a real return can happen. And if they cannot meet that climate, you stop bleeding yourself on the relationship. Now, I want to give you a simple way to know if you are doing this correctly. When they pull away and you respond the right way, you will feel two things at once. You will feel discomfort because you are not getting the relief of chasing. And you will feel power because you are no longer negotiating your dignity. That is the feeling of breaking the loop. Your body will want to do something. You will not. That is the new pattern. Your nervous system will learn, I can feel this and still hold my frame. And that is the skill that changes the entire dynamic, because avoidant systems are drawn to steadiness. They relax around steadiness. They start to feel around steadiness. And when they start to feel, that is when the return becomes possible. So let's put it into one clear rule you can keep. When they pull away, do not chase the closeness. Build the climate. Calm and firm. One clean signal if needed. Then, remove access to instability. When they test, respond slowly and cleanly. Do not reward the return. Reward the staying. Reward the repair. Reward the pattern change. And if you do this consistently, you stop being the person they can deactivate on and return to for relief. You become the person they either rise to meet or they lose. And that is what actually creates respect, reflection, and a return that can become real. Welcome to PsychBond. You're safe here.